Hey YouTube, Twig here, bringing you all my Junk Warrior Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile for February 2025. Wanted to make a deck profile that focuses on one of Yusei's ace monsters, being the Junk Warrior. Now with this deck, we're going to be focusing on the Synchron archetype, being able to summon out Junk Warrior, making use of its attack gain power with some of the lower level monsters we run in the deck, but also being able to make use of the other different Junk monsters that Yusei had also summoned at one point, and some of the better options for the synchro plays, not really focusing on the Stardust Dragon engine for the deck and just the junk monsters you can get out with the Synchron engine. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So we'll go ahead and start off with the main deck monsters. For the junk monsters, we're running 3 copies of Junk Synchron. When it's normal summon, you can target a level 2 or lower monster in your graveyard, special summon it in defense, but its effects are negated. So this is just your go-to play to set up your Junk Warrior, just needing that level 2 non-tuner to summon back off of Junk Synchron, which can easily be done with one of our go-to searchers for Junk Synchron, being our Junk Converter. So a 3-of copy of this card, so we can always see copies of it to use. Some of the other tuners we run in the deck include the 3 copies of Jet Synchron. If this card is sent to the graveyard as synchro material, you can add 1 junk monster from your deck to your hand. If this card's in your graveyard, you can send 1 card from your hand to the graveyard, special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. So just giving you search power for more of our junk monsters makes this a pretty good generic level 1 tuner to be able to summon out some of the other monsters we run in the deck, including just some of the other synchro monsters that we run as well for extra deck options. 3 copies of Assault Synchron. For this card during main phase, being able to special summon from your hand, then take 700 damage while it's facing the field. You cannot special summon from the extra deck except for synchro monsters, so giving you more of that added special summon power. It goes for more of the dragon use, but still being able to have this card as a reliable level 2 tuner in the deck is why I still like running it part of the tuner engine, with the rest of the added monsters that we use for the main deck tuner monsters, being the 1 copy of Quick Draw Synchron, the 1 copy of Wheel Synchron, and the 1 copy of Satellite Synchron. Being able to use Quick Draw for any of the substitute positions for any of our Synchron monsters, using our Wheel Synchron to be able to use it as a non-tuner option, and then just being able to use Satellite Synchron as another special summon option when we special summon a monster back from the graveyard. For the non-tuner monsters in the deck, running 3 copies of Junk Converter. You can discard this card in 1 tuner to add 1 Synchron monster from your deck to your hand. If this card is sent to the graveyard as synchro material, you can target 1 tuner monster in your graveyard and special summon it in defense, but it cannot activate its effects this turn. You can only use this effect of Junk Converter once per turn. So once again, just being able to go for an additional synchro setup by adding our Junk Synchron off of this card, and then being able to, if it's sent to the graveyard as synchro material, target a tuner in the graveyard and special summon it in defense, but cannot activate its effects. So being able to grab back some of those other tuner options to have on the field while we summon our Junk Warrior onto the field can give us the effect to use in tandem with our Junk Warrior when it's synchro summoned to gain attack equal to all the level 2 or lower monsters we currently control. So the more we can set up on the field thanks to Junk Converter's effect, the higher we can make our Junk Warrior's attack be. 3 copies of Doppel Warrior as well for the added token special summon power. When a monster special summon from your graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand. If it's sent to the graveyard as synchro material, you can special summon 2 Doppel tokens to the field, so in attack position, giving you more tokens to use with some of our other tuners in the deck to grab more of our synchro monsters out onto the field also. I also run 2 copies of Synchron Carrier for the added normal summon power of a Synchron monster, in addition to our normal summoner set, going this effect once per turn. And if another Synchron monster is sent to your graveyard as material for a synchro summon of a warrior or machine synchro monster, while you control this card, you can special summon a Synchron token onto the field, giving you once again another token as a level 2 this time to match up with some of our other synchro monsters, with more of the generic options for our monsters being 2 copies of Jester Confit and the 2 copies of Junk Forward, with Junk Forward also being able to be searched off of our added setup with Jet Synchron being a monster with junk in its name, but only being able to be used as a special resource, just like our Jester Confit onto the field. And then lastly, the one copy of Quillbolt Hedgehog and the one Synchron Explorer as just more of a use with our tuner monsters and being able to grab back our Synchron monsters from the graveyard with Synchron Explorer, but its effects are negated. And then also being able to have these cards be searched from the graveyard or the Synchron setup with Synchron Explorer as well. Not running any hand traps in this version of the deck, since it's more focused on a fun variant of being able to summon out our Junk Warrior. For the spells, 3 copies of tuning, just being able to add the Synchron tuner from our deck to our hand, then send the top card of our deck to the graveyard. So not only can it set up some other cards in our graveyard, like our Jet Synchron or any of the other monsters that can focus on the graveyard special summon back power, the 3 copies of Synchro Overtake, revealing a Synchro monster in your extra deck, choosing one of the Synchro materials is listed on it and add to your hand. So just by revealing one of the extra deck monsters, we can search Junk Synchron just as easily with this card, and just being locked out from only being able to special summon from the extra deck of the Synchro monster variants. And also 2 copies of On Your Mark, Get Set, Duel. If it's activated, if you control no other cards, you can add 1 Synchron monster from your deck to your hand. And also, during your standby phase, place 1 signal counter on this card. You can remove 2 and send this face-up card to the graveyard to draw 2 cards and send 1 card from your hand to the graveyard. So you can activate 1 per turn, but still being able to grab a Synchron monster means we can also go for the other one-ofs, as I mentioned before. Since it doesn't specify tuner, it just says Synchron monsters. The 1 copy of Synchro Chase. With this card, your opponent can activate card effects in response to the activated effects of your Synchro monsters with Warrior in its card name. So this includes Junk Warrior. If you Synchro summon a Warrior monster, you can target 1 monster in your graveyard, use its material, and special summon it in defense, giving you back that monster on the field as well. So once again, another good play to use with the Junk Warrior setup, which I'll go over the play at the end of the video. The 1 copy of Monster Reborn, along with the 1 Reinforcements of the Army, the 1 Call by the Grave, the 1 1-for-1, and the 1 Foolish Burial to finish off our main deck, along with the spell lineup. For the extra deck, 2 copies of Junk Warrior. Since it's one of our go-tos, I definitely do want to get the alternate art that's been released for a while now for the deck, but still 2 to make use of. If it's Synchro Summon, it gains attack equal to the total attack of all level 2 or lower monsters you currently control. So we want to use our best play with this being our Synchro Chase and our Junk Converter, which I'll go over at the end of the video. For these 2 monsters, the 1 copy of Junk Berserker, along with the 1 copy of Junk Destroyer. More added synchro options to use with Junk Synchron, same with Junk Archer. The 1 Excel Synchron and the 1 Junk Speeder for more added tuner options to get onto the field. Bigger synchros include the Satellite Warrior, along with the 1 Stardust Assault Warrior, the 1 Armory Arm, because one of the most iconic plays was when you say equip the Armory Arm for added power onto our Junk Warrior, the 1 copy of Herald of the Arclight, along with the 1 FA Dawn Dragster, with the remaining synchro monsters being the 1 Omega, the 1 Colossal Fighter, and the 1 Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon to finish off the extra deck. And then as for some of the go-to plays in the deck, as I mentioned before, with the Synchro Chase and the Junk Converter, having the best potential setup, I would say, for the Junk Synchron, all you need is 1 additional tuner in your hand to be able to send off of the Junk Converter. So then you'll use these cards, you'll activate your Synchro Chase, setting it up on the field, discarding off the Junk Converter with your Jet Synchron. If you have the Jet Synchron, I would say it's one of the better options to use for this play. You'll send the 2, adding your Junk Synchron from your deck to your hand. You will then normal summon out the Junk Synchron, using its effect to then summon out your Junk Converter from the graveyard. Using the 2 then for the Synchro Summon of our go-to boss monster of the deck, being our Junk Warrior. So then, with these cards, you can choose the chain links. You have your Synchro Chase, your Junk Converter, and your Junk Warrior. So if you at least allow the Junk Warrior to be the last chain in the play, you'll have the added, or so you the chain link 1 of Junk Warrior, the chain link 2 of Synchro Chase, and the chain link 3 of Junk Converter. So then with these plays targeting the tuner monster in your graveyard with your Junk Converter, you can grab your Jet Synchron back onto the field. And then with the play of Synchro Chase, with this card, if you Synchro Summon a Warrior monster, you can use target 1 monster in the graveyard uses its material and special summon it in defense. So then you can grab back your Junk Converter onto the field as well. So then from there, you have your final chain being your Junk Warrior. So being able to gain attack equal to the total attack of all level 2 or lower monsters you currently control. So that'll be the Junk Converter and the Jet Synchron, giving your Junk Warrior the added 900 attack point boost thanks to these cards altogether. If you had all of these plays initially, along with the added use of another monster, like let's say you had the Assault Synchron in your hand, you could always have special summon this card out first, and then had the additional boost, making it a 36 added boost on the 700 attack, making your Junk Warrior have 3,800 attack, since this is one level 2 additional monster onto the field as well. What's also very cool with this play is if you had the additional summon of your Excel or your Assault Synchron beforehand, you'll take the attack burn, but having this one additional monster means you can use the Junk Warrior to gain attack equal to the total attack of all level 2 or lower monsters you currently control, meaning you'll have the total attack boost being the added power of your 3 monsters. So from there, you have a 3,900 attack point Junk Warrior, but then with the Junk Converter you summoned off of your Synchro Chase, you can use that in the Assault Synchron to then go for another Synchro play into the play I mentioned before, being our Armory Arm. So then the Junk Warrior will keep the attack that it had, thanks to the monsters already in the field. They don't have to remain on the field. And then you can use the Armory Arm to equip it onto your Junk Warrior, giving you a 4,900 attack point Junk Warrior, which can also hit for additional burn damage thanks to the Armory Arm. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed. Like I said, just wanted to do a quick little fun update to the Junk Warrior deck with a focus on the Synchron archetype and a lineup that focuses on the monsters that Yusei used the most after his Stardust Dragon. And as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.